Now we're finding out maybe the best NBA trainer in the absolute business would like to train Caitlin Clark this offseason.
So it looked like famed NBA trainer Chris Brickley has broken his silence about Caitlin Clark and potentially working with her to make a healthy recovery.
NBA players are losing sleep right now, and they have every reason to panic. Caitlin Clark just made a move that has sent shockwaves through women's basketball, and her competition is absolutely terrified. The rookie sensation has been spotted working with Chris Brickley, the legendary NBA trainer who has kept superstars performing at elite levels well into their late 30s. This is not just any trainer we are talking about here. This is the guy who has worked magic with some of the biggest names in basketball history. But here's where it gets interesting. Clark is not following the typical WNBA playbook anymore.
This is what I like to hear. This is what I like to hear. I'm all in. I'm all in on this move. I've been saying I want to see Caitlin Clark train with some new higher level elite training. I want her to get the hell away from Indiana as far as training. I don't want her practicing with Stephanie White. I don't want her working with the Indiana Fever training staff, even though they're getting a new senior advisor and all that. I don't want none of that. I think there's a few things that Caitlin, if she add these few things to her bag, she's definitely unstoppable. Chris Brickley, legendary NBA trainer, working with the likes of Carmelo Anthony. When y'all saw Carmelo Anthony lose all that weight and get in shape, Hoodie Melo, he worked with Carmelo Anthony, Jimmy Butler, Donovan Mitchell, Trae Young, LeBron James.
She is breaking away from traditional team training and going straight to the top of the food chain. The timing of this move is absolutely perfect and honestly brilliant. After a season that was completely destroyed by injuries, Clark needed to make a dramatic change. She could have stuck with the same old training methods that failed her miserably, but instead she chose to level up in ways the WNBA has never seen before. What makes this even more fascinating is that Brickley has been pursuing this opportunity for years. He recently went on a podcast and revealed that he and Clark have been talking about working together for quite some time.
That specific team?
Yes.
So
yeah. You just called it.
Sometimes
some teams are like, no,
they've got
you need to be with me a year for the first 3 years. This is happening with me and Caitlin Clark. So Caitlin Clark finished her rookie season. We've been talking for a few years, and
you worked with Caitlin Clark?
So we were going to work last summer, but I was gonna have to go to Indianapolis. And I respect it. Like when you're young on your team.
The only thing that stopped them before was timing and team obligations. Clark was supposed to stay loyal to her team's training staff because that is what young players typically do. But now everything has changed. Clark is taking control of her own career and making decisions based on what is best for her long-term success rather than what makes her organization comfortable. This shift in mindset is exactly what separates superstars from regular players. The reaction from other WNBA players has been telling. You can practically feel the anxiety spreading through locker rooms across the league. They know what this means. They understand that Clark is about to access training methods and expertise that most of them will never get close to experiencing. Here's the thing that really drives the point home.
So I'm hoping now this season, this off season,
I love it.
I'm hoping that she'll come to New York and we'll get some work. And she's the reason why the WNBA has become so big. I would love to work with her.
Yeah.
An amazing talent. She changed the game.
She has absolutely changed.
Yeah.
Women's sports
for sure.
Just
and I love
generally
competitiveness too.
Oh man, I know. She's that's the other piece too, that like it's okay for women to be competitive. You know, like
Sure.
Brickley does not need Clark for credibility or clout. His resume speaks for itself. When someone at his level actively pursues the opportunity to work with a player, it says everything about how he views their potential. He sees something special in Clark that goes beyond her current abilities. This move also sends a clear message to the Indiana Fever organization. Clark is no longer willing to accept subpar training and preparation. She watched her season fall apart due to poor injury management and inadequate physical preparation. Now she is taking matters into her own hands and working with the absolute best in the business. The most important part of all this is what it means for Clark's future dominance. She was already the most skilled offensive player in the WNBA before this partnership. Her shooting range, court vision, and ability to create for herself and others were unmatched. Now imagine all of that talent backed by elite level physical preparation and injury prevention methods. Chris Brickley is not just another trainer throwing around basketballs in a gym. This man has built a reputation as the the absolute best in the business by delivering results that seem almost impossible. His client list reads like a Hall of Fame roster, and every single name on it proves why Clark made the smartest decision of her career. Let's break down exactly who we are dealing with here. LeBron James is going to be 41 years old this season, and he is still playing at an elite level that puts players half his age to shame. Kevin Durant is 37 and remains one of the most dangerous scorers in basketball. Carmelo Anthony played until he was 37 and was still contributing significant minutes in his final season. This kind of longevity does not happen by accident or luck. It is the direct result of science-based training methods that prioritize long-term health and performance over short-term gains. What makes Brickley truly special is his understanding of how to keep elite athletes healthy and productive when their peers are breaking down or retiring. Most professional basketball players start declining in their early 30s. Their bodies cannot handle the punishment anymore and injuries start piling up. But here's where Brickley's magic becomes obvious. His clients seem to age in reverse. They are playing longer, staying healthier, and maintaining elite performance when everyone else is becoming role players or heading to retirement. The methodology behind this success is what should have WNBA players absolutely terrified. Brickley is not just a strength coach who makes players lift heavier weights. He is not just a skills trainer who runs shooting drills. He is a comprehensive performance specialist who understands every aspect of what it takes to maximize athletic potential. This is where things get really interesting for Clark specifically. She has already proven she can dominate at the WNBA level with her natural talent and basic training. Now she is about to unlock methods and techniques that could extend her career by years while making her even more dominant in the process. But wait, it gets even better. Brickley also trains Angel Reese, which some people might see as a potential conflict. Actually, this proves his value even more. Professional trainers work with multiple clients from competing teams all the time. The fact that players across the league trust him shows that his reputation transcends team loyalties and rivalries. The contrast between what Clark experienced last season and what she could achieve with proper training is absolutely staggering. Instead of building on a strong rookie campaign and establishing herself as the undisputed best player in the league, she spent most of the season rehabbing and watching from the sidelines. Here's what really drives the point home. Brickley's interest in Clark is not about money or publicity. He already has both. This is about recognizing genuine greatness and wanting to be part of helping someone reach their absolute ceiling. When he says Clark has changed the game and is the reason the WNBA has become so big, that carries serious weight coming from someone who has worked with the biggest stars in basketball. The 2025 season was an absolute nightmare for Caitlin Clark, and frankly, it was embarrassing for everyone involved. She only played 13 games out of the entire regular season because of injuries. 13 games. For someone who was supposed to be the face of the league and bring unprecedented attention to the WNBA, that is catastrophic failure on every level. Let's be brutally honest about what went wrong here. Something went seriously wrong with how Clark's body was prepared and maintained, and it is pretty obvious the Indiana Fever's training staff did not do her any favors. The way they handled her physical development was amateur hour at best and downright negligent at worst. Clark hit the weight room hard during the previous offseason and added significant muscle mass. She got stronger and looked physically different when the season started. A lot of people thought this was the right move because she took so much physical punishment during her rookie year. Opponents were allowed to beat her up with minimal consequences from referees, so bulking up seemed logical. But here's where everything went completely sideways. Adding muscle without the right training methodology and without understanding how that added mass affects movement patterns and joint stress can actually make you more injury prone. That might be exactly what happened to Clark, and it shows a complete lack of expertise from her training team. Clark suffered a groin injury that kept her out for most of the season. Groin injuries are often related to muscle imbalances, flexibility issues, or trying to move explosively with a body that has been changed too quickly. This is basic sports science that apparently the Fever's training staff either did not know or did not implement properly. When you add significant muscle mass in a short period, your nervous system and connective tissues need time to adapt. If you do not give them that time and just jump right into explosive basketball movements, injuries happen. This is not rocket science. This is fundamental knowledge knowledge that any competent training staff should understand. The most frustrating part of this entire disaster is that it was completely preventable. Clark's injury was not some freak accident or unavoidable contact injury. It was the predictable result of poor preparation and inadequate understanding of how to properly develop an elite athlete's body. The Fever organization as a whole does not inspire confidence right now. Their medical staff has been questionable throughout this process. Their training protocols clearly did not work. Their injury reporting was vague and inconsistent throughout the entire season. They do not seem to have the infrastructure or expertise to properly support a player of Clark's caliber and importance. What makes this even more infuriating is that Clark was supposed to build on a strong first year and take her game to the next level. Instead, she spent most of the season rehabbing and watching from the sidelines while her team struggled without her. That is not just disappointing for her personally, it was bad for the entire league. The WNBA needs Clark healthy and playing because she is the primary driver of fan interest and revenue growth. Her absence hurt attendance, viewership, and the overall quality of competition across the league. This is where Chris Brickley's expertise becomes absolutely game-changing for Clark's future, and why every other WNBA player should be having nightmares about what comes next. Brickley does not just make players stronger or faster, he makes them bulletproof against the kind of injuries that destroyed Clark's season. The science behind Brickley's methods is what separates him from every other trainer. He understands that longevity in professional basketball requires a completely different approach than what most teams use. While other trainers focus on immediate performance gains, Brickley builds athletes who can maintain elite performance for decades. Look at the evidence right in front of us. LeBron James should have been declining years ago based on traditional expectations, but instead he is still dominating games at 41 years old. Kevin Durant has dealt with major injuries throughout his career, yet he continues to be one of the most unstoppable scorers in basketball at 37. This does not happen with typical training methods. What Brickley brings to the table is a comprehensive understanding of how to integrate strength training with movement quality and injury prevention. He does not just pile muscle onto athletes and hope for the best. He carefully develops their bodies in ways that enhance performance while reducing injury risk. This is exactly what Clark needs after the disaster of last season. Her groin injury was a direct result of poor training methodology that failed to account for how added muscle mass would affect her movement patterns. Brickley has dealt with these exact issues countless times with NBA players who face similar challenges. The mental and emotional benefits are just as important as the physical ones. Brickley has worked with the absolute best players in the world and understands what separates good players from legends. He can provide perspective and guidance that goes far beyond just physical training. He knows how to help athletes manage their bodies over long careers, handle the pressure that comes with being a superstar, and continue improving even as the competition adjusts to their strengths. This mentorship aspect is almost as valuable as the actual training protocols. But here's where things get really exciting for Clark specifically. She already has the most advanced offensive skill set in the WNBA. Her shooting range, court vision, and ability to create shots for herself and others are unmatched. Now imagine all of that talent backed by elite level physical preparation that keeps her healthy for entire seasons. The competitive advantage this creates should terrify every other player in the league. Clark was already difficult to contain when she was dealing with injury issues and subpar training. A fully healthy version of Clark who has access to the same training methods that keep NBA superstars performing at elite levels would be absolutely unstoppable. The timing of this partnership could not be more perfect. Clark has learned from the mistakes of last season and is taking control of her career in ways that show real maturity and intelligence. She is not settling for what her team provides. She is seeking out the absolute best resources available regardless of where they come from. The competitive advantage Clark is about to gain from working with Brickley should have every WNBA player absolutely panicking right now. She was already the most dominant offensive force in women's basketball, and now she is about to become completely untouchable with proper training and injury prevention methods. Let's put this into perspective for everyone who still does not understand the magnitude of this move. Clark's shooting range, court vision, and ability to create for herself and others are already unmatched in the WNBA. Other players are struggling to contain her even when she is dealing with injury issues and subpar training. Now imagine a fully healthy version of Clark with improved strength strength and explosiveness that is properly integrated into her movement patterns. This is not just about getting stronger or faster. This is about accessing training methods and expertise that most WNBA players will never experience. The financial reality here cannot be ignored. Working with elite private trainers is extremely expensive. Brickley does not publish his rates, but based on his client list and reputation, you can assume it costs serious money. Clark can afford this level of training because of her Nike deal and endorsement money, which gives her resources that most WNBA players simply do not have. This creates a cycle where the stars who earn the most can invest more in their own development, which helps them stay on top and earn even more. But here's what makes this situation even more unfair for her competition. Nike and LeBron's involvement adds another layer of advantage that other players cannot match. Clark has a signature shoe deal with Nike, and LeBron has been publicly supportive of her throughout her career. It would make perfect sense for Nike to facilitate and possibly even fund training with Brickley as an investment in protecting one of their most valuable athletes. LeBron could easily make introductions and put his endorsement behind the arrangement. That kind of backing from the biggest name in basketball would be huge for Clark and would send a clear message to the WNBA that she is operating at a different level than everyone else. The psychological impact on other players cannot be understated. They know they are already fighting an uphill battle against Clark's natural talent and skill level. Now they have to deal with the reality that she is accessing elite training methods that they cannot afford or obtain. This creates doubt and anxiety that affects performance on the court. Some of the best players in WNBA history never worked with trainers at Brickley's level because those resources were not as available or emphasized in women's basketball. Clark has the opportunity to access training methods and expertise that previous generations of women's players could not dream of having. This is not unfair. This is just smart business and career management. Clark is using every resource available to maximize her potential, while other players complain instead of finding ways to improve their own situations. The best get rewarded with more opportunities to get better, and that cycle continues throughout their careers. What happens next will determine the entire landscape of the WNBA for years to come. Clark is coming back different, better, and more prepared than ever before. Her rivals better start figuring out how to compete with that reality, because the gap is about to get much wider. If you are enjoying this content and want to see more breakdowns of how superstars gain advantages over their competition, smash that subscribe button and stay tuned for more insider analysis.